Hey there, I'm Dr. Dave, and this is Microdose U. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. I got a really special episode for you today because I've got an accumulation of questions that have come in to me either on YouTube, email, Facebook Messenger, however you guys get questions to me. And I've accumulated these, I've held on to these because let's just say they're a little bit off the wall. They're a little bit odd. And I really didn't feel that I could answer these questions on a regular episode. But today I'm going to go ahead and try to tackle every single one of these questions I've been holding on to for this special episode. So let's get right into it. And by the way, if you're brand new here, thanks for being here and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. First question from Vegas Vibes 88. The question is, can I microdose and then go get a driver's license photo so it looks better for the next 10 years? Now, I will tell you this. Some of these questions, I don't know if they're real, but I'm assuming they are because these are questions that actually did come into me. So I'm going to answer these very seriously because they all actually mean something. And they're, even though they might sound a little bit weird on the outside, um, they do have some validity to them. So, can I get a driver's license photo so it looks better for the next 10 years if I'm microdosing? Well, yes. So here's what I found out. I've been microdosing for over 4 years now, as you know. Now, if you go back and if you're watching this on YouTube, especially if you go back and play episodes from, let's just say, a few years ago, and watch me on YouTube a few years ago, and you're watching this one right now, I would say that I actually look better and younger now. I think microdosing has, in so many ways, reversed my age. Not chronologically. I mean, I just turned 70 a few months ago, but I got this, and this is really true. I swear to you. So that's why I wanted to answer this question here. I got this, and I might do a whole episode on this one. I got this message from, I don't know, the universe only a couple months ago, and it said, the message clearly said to me that I reached my peak age about 3 years ago, which would have been about 67 or so. And now from that point, I'm actually aging in reverse. And as crazy as that sounds, I will tell you this. First of all, definitely go back and look at some of my older episodes. I think I look younger now. Secondly, I feel better now. I feel like I can do things physically now that, not that I couldn't do when I was 25 or 30, but maybe in my mid 60s, I feel more physically fit now and better. So, to answer your question about going to microdose and getting your driver's license photo, go for it. You're going to look better. I promise you. And it's going to be good for the next 10 years. So, look your best and ask them if you can look into the mirror right before they snap that picture, because I've had a real tough time with driver's license photos. They take it and it's horrible, and sometimes they won't let me redo it. So I think I'm stuck with one that's not that good right now. They should have allowed me to go to hair and makeup before they snap that photo. But Vegas Vibes 88, great question. And I'm very serious. I think it really will work. Next question from Awkward But Friendly. Can microdosing make me better at small talk, or will I just end up oversharing about mushrooms at parties? Well, yeah, now again, it's a really good question because I think microdosing does a lot to combat things like social anxiety. I really do believe that I'm better at talking to people now, and I see people in a different way and more compassionate and not afraid to say things to people. However, having said that, I still think I'm an extroverted introvert, so I still try to stay away from parties because parties really don't do a lot for me. I don't love parties, and I don't like being with a whole lot of people at one time. And I don't really want that to change. I don't really want to be a party goer. However, being with one or two people at a time, I'm very good at that, and I can kind of handle that. So going to parties on microdosing, yeah, that's totally fine. You know what I wouldn't do though? I wouldn't start getting to a party and start talking about microdosing the whole time. That's people are only if people ask you if they're interested. I used to be vegan for 7 years of my life. I was vegan, and looking back now, I overdid it, and I was so into that world. And I talked about it wherever I went, and I talked about it online. And looking back now, I don't think that was a good thing. I definitely turned out to be judgmental, and it's not really what it was cracked up to be anyway. I feel much healthier now that I introduced animal products back into my diet. Much, much, much healthier. And my lab reports, my medical labs prove that. It's not just like a thought, it's not just an opinion. My medical labs absolutely prove that. But yeah, go do your thing, but just don't overdo it with the microdosing. Talk to people. Next question, Sky Guy 1975. If I microdose before flying, will TSA scanners pick it up somehow? Absolutely not. No. First of all, I will tell you this. I had a long talk with a TSA guy probably 6, 7 years ago. I remember this. I was flying through Phoenix and he wasn't busy, and I just started asking him some questions. And he was a really nice guy. And basically, in so many words, he told me they're not worried about drugs. They're worried about explosives and keeping people safe on the planes. Now, of course, if you go through TSA with a backpack full of drugs and they see that, they're not going to look favorably upon that. You'll probably get arrested. But if you just did some microdosing before you fly, or if you had a couple of gummies in your backpack, they are not going to care in the least bit. And if you microdosed and you go through a TSA scanner, no, there's no way they can tell that you have just ingested mushrooms or LSD. They can't tell that, and nor do they care. Trust me, nor do they care. Oh, next question from Cubicle Warrior 37. If I microdose mushrooms, will they show up on a standard drug test for work? Good question, legitimate question. The answer is generally no. Generally no, because they have to be, they've got specific things they look for when they do a drug test for work. And generally, it's things like opioids, cocaine, marijuana, cannabis. They're probably checking for that. Um, those types of drugs in general. They're not really even testing for psilocybin. I can't say never, but in general, they're not testing for psilocybin or LSD. It's just too few people do that. It's not really even posing too much of a risk. So they're not, and drug testing is expensive. So they have to select the drugs they check for. Now, having said that, if you're going in for a drug test and you know you're going for a drug test, just try to stay clean for a certain amount of time before. Look to see how long these things stay in your system. But no, they're not going to be. Their chances are they're not going to be picking up LSD or psychedelics in general, mushrooms or whatever. Next question from Trail Runner 42. Can my dog benefit from microdosing if I hide a capsule in his peanut butter? Hmm. I don't know the answer to that. Again, I'm not sure that's a legitimate question or you're just joking, but I don't know the answer. I do know something though. I do know that people give their pets CBD to help them with things like anxiety, sleeping better, pain when our pets get older. CBD apparently helps with pain. I don't know enough about psychedelics and pets to offer any opinion on this whatsoever. My gut feeling would say that no, you probably should not microdose a pet, but you could certainly go to ChatGPT and ask and get an answer there. But my gut feeling is probably no. But the caveat there is I don't know for sure. Maybe a tiny microdose could be good for a pet. I just don't know. And would the microdosing for a pet be the same as it would be for a human? Probably you'd have to go much lower, I think. But look into it, and if you find the answer, let me know. I'd be very curious, and I could certainly look it up on ChatGPT as well, for sure. Next question. Oh, before we do the next question, real quickly, I want to welcome all of my new Patreon members. Some of you know, some of you don't know. We've got a Patreon platform. It is doing great. It's such a cool family that we've got on Patreon. And if you're not sure what I'm even talking about, it's always in the show notes. I give a link to our Patreon page, and I give a link on the website microdoseu.com. So I always have things for you in the show notes here whether you're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I always have links there as well as my website, Microdose U, and it's spelled right back there. If you're on YouTube, you can see it's microdose, no space, microdoseu.com. And I've got all kind of links for you. But Patreon, we do live meetings every 2 weeks. And by a live meeting, I mean it's a real Zoom meeting and we all interact with each other in real time. It's like a class. It's like a family. We talk to each other. We ask each other questions. We share stories. And we do talk about things that we don't talk about anywhere else. We talk about it on Patreon. So you may want to join. I want to welcome some new members here. I haven't done it for a little while. So some of the most recent members, welcome Nicholas, welcome Kelly, Rebecca, Lauren, Tony, Mel, Brandy, Chastity, and more. If I didn't get your name down, if I didn't mention you, you are absolutely welcome. We love seeing new family members on Patreon. And when I say family, it really is. It's like a little family. We kind of all know each other and share things that we probably wouldn't share anywhere else, and we just have a great time. And those live meetings every 2 weeks are awesome. So check it out and check our schedule for the live meetings. Love to see you on Patreon. There is a cost to it. You have to join as a premium member. The free members don't get to see anything. That's just the way it's designed. But it's in US dollars. It's $12.50 a month. You heard that right. $12.50 a month. I mean, it's a few cups of coffee, and I promise you'll get more benefit. Coffee is really good. I drink coffee every day, but you'll get more benefit out of Patreon than you will out of a few cups of coffee. Okay, let's continue here. Mom of 3 LOL. That's quite a screen name there. Mom of 3 LOL asks, is it true that if you microdose before going to Walmart, the people actually look normal? Oh, let me tell you something. I go to Walmart. I've got a Walmart 5 minutes away from my house here in Salt Lake City. And I got to tell you, I do go there for certain things and I love it. So will I look normal? If you see me at Walmart, will I look normal walking around Walmart? I don't know. I don't know if I ever look normal. But having said that, there's something about microdosing that I think, I'm not editing this at all, that I thinks, there's something about Walmart, there's something about microdosing that I think really does let us see other human beings in a much better and kinder way. I remember a short time ago when I was living in my old house, not the one right here, but like closer to downtown Salt Lake City, across from a place called Liberty Park. And there are a lot of homeless people and a lot of people that are down on their luck, and I would say vagrants and just things like that. It would really annoy me a lot. But one day I got back from a trip. I was not a psychedelic trip, like a vacation type trip. I was away for maybe a week or two, and I had done a lot of microdosing on this trip. And when I got back, for a short time, I felt that I had a little more compassion for the people that were not like me, for the people that were down on their luck just a little bit more than I was down on my luck. I mean, fortunately, I've got a very good life and I'm really blessed. And I really thank the universe and God and whoever is responsible. I happen to live a good life. I worked hard, but I live a good life. But people that are down on their luck, sometimes we look at them and say, you're in my way, get out of here, I don't like you. I went for a walk yesterday, and there was a family. It looked like a family that maybe people. It looked like a mother, father, and daughter. They were, let's just say maybe from a Latino type country, and they had a sign. They were looking for money, and ordinarily I would say, get out of my way, but no, but I've got compassion and I see people in a different way now. And I felt bad for them. Did I give them money? No, I was on a walk. I didn't have any money. I didn't have my wallet, and I probably wouldn't do it anyway, but I do donate to charities that help other people out and help animals out in a big way. I love doing that. So even though your question may have been a little bit tongue in cheek, I really do think by microdosing, it makes us just a little bit kinder, and we see our other fellow human beings in a much better way. I hope that helps you there, Mama 3 LOL. Oh, next question. Indie film fan asks, do people who microdose actually hear colors, or is that only in the movies? Really good question, actually. No, it's not only in the movies. Psychedelics can um, make you feel. It's called sound color synesthesia. Now, I'm not so sure microdosing will do that. Remember, microdosing for the most part is subperceptual, but it's not exactly subperceptual. You still feel it, but only a little bit. You're not really going on a psychedelic journey or trip, or you're not really seeing colors, patterns, things like that. So, but it's a really good question. And I think if you do larger doses, I would say absolutely you could start to see sound as colors. Yes, you can do that for sure. I haven't really done that, but it's pretty well documented that it is possible. Most likely not at microdose levels. Next question by couple from Couples Quest. Can microdosing make me telepathic with my partner? Like, will we start finishing each other's sentences? Uh, perhaps, perhaps. Now, I don't know whether you'll actually be able to finish each other's sentences, but I'm pretty sure it can bring two people together and make them closer and make their minds almost come together as one. I've seen that happen with some people that I'm very close with. Some people I've seen it happen that I feel a little bit more distant because I feel like we're just not vibrating on the same frequency. But no, that doesn't happen with my close friends and with my spouse and things like that. But it does show me that everybody's not for me and I'm not for everybody. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that I wish them harm, or they're not bad people, or they're not people that I necessarily don't really don't dislike. But it shows me though that everybody's not for me, and but it does bring me closer to other people, and our our brains work in close proximity or synchronicity, if that makes any sense at all. I've spoken sometimes. I've had Dr. Denise, who is frequently on our show here, and also I'm very close friends with her. She's in New York, but we text a lot, and a lot of times we'll text something to each other, and it'll be like, "Wow, that was really synchronicity. We were both thinking the same thing at the same time." And we both microdose. So yes, I think that absolutely has the potential to happen. Good question there, Couples Quest. Next question: is it true? Now I'm not sure if this might be a real question. It could be, but again, I've held all these questions kind of in the background, knowing that there'd be an episode where I just answer every single one of them. Is it true that microdosing can rewire your brain so much that you forget your ex completely? Um, yes. Well, again, I don't think you're going to just forget your ex. Like your ex, whether it's an ex-spouse, ex-partner, it could be ex-business partner, it could be ex anything. You're not going to forget them. They're in your brain. They're in your gray matter. They're in your neural pathways. You're not just going to forget them. However, you might see them very differently in a positive way. I'll share this with you. My ex, there was a time that we had a pretty rough divorce, and there was a time that I felt uncomfortable. Let's just say I don't want to say anything bad about her. She's actually a very good person, but there was a long period of time that I just felt I didn't feel comfortable. Too many things had happened in our past, and I didn't feel comfortable. However, I will say after 3+ years of microdosing, so maybe started like no 1 or 2 years ago. So maybe after 2+ years of microdosing, um, we'd reconnected, and we have a really good relationship, and I think that's a good thing. It's good for us. No bad feelings. It's good for the kids. Our kids are older, but still, there are family things that we get together and see each other, and there's nothing bad about that. So it's a really good question. So although I don't think you'll forget about your ex completely, And if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said, no, there's no way I'm ever going to be close with her. But it just wasn't true. Through microdosing, through rewiring my brain, through seeing kindness in people and seeing people for, a way that maybe you've never seen them before, it truly worked for me. So I wish you the best. Who was that? That was Fresh Start Now. Yeah, I wish you the best. I really hope that it works for you in a very, very positive way. Next question. If I microdose too often, could I accidentally level up into a full trip while I'm at the grocery store? From Banana Isle Guy. Um, no, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, simply from microdosing, the only way that would happen is if you made a mistake, and it's probably easier to make this mistake with LSD than microdosing psilocybin. Because LSD, we're talking in like micrograms, like tiny micrograms. They're so tiny. So if you take a few too many micrograms, you could go into a full trip. So, but that would be an error. That would be human error. That wouldn't be just purely microdosing and feeling like a larger trip. I'll give you an example. A few days ago, I did an LSD microdose, and I usually do between 10 and 30 micrograms, and I can handle myself very well. I know exactly how it's going to feel. I can totally function. I can drive. I can, do whatever I have to do. But a few days ago, I did 30 microgram LSD microdose, and I've got to tell you something, and I don't have an explanation why, and we'll probably talk about this more on our Patreon, our next Patreon live. I was going to share this with some people, share it with our Patreon family, that is, because we go into a lot more detail on Patreon when we have all these live meetings. But I felt it come on like pretty strong. I was still very functional, totally functional, but it was a little bit maybe like I went to the gym and I honestly felt I was floating, and I felt like sometimes I didn't really know like where I was like what station I was going to. I felt like I was definitely way up there. Um, Still a microdose, but a very, very, maybe a very high microdose, or maybe even a little bit past the microdose. What's the word I'm looking for? Spectrum, like on the spectrum, maybe past the microdose level. Then a little bit later in the day, now remember LSD lasts a lot longer than mushrooms. Later in the day, it went up, took it right up into the mountains, and yeah, I felt it pretty strong. So again, that wasn't any miscalculation. I knew exactly how much I was getting. It was simply that the LSD was, for some reason, even though it was a microdose, it just felt a lot stronger that day. So just be careful and understand microdosing. The more experience you have, the better you're going to be. But no, you won't go into a full trip unless you accidentally take way too much. Um, Next question. This one didn't come in with a name on it. This one doesn't have a name, but it just came to me through, I don't know, through text or something. I'm not sure where it came. I just made a note of it. Um, I microdosed yesterday, and I swear my printer printed a document on mental health without me being anywhere near my computer. Okay, that's definitely weird. I will say this: technology has a way of fooling us sometimes. Like you might think that you were nowhere near your computer and the printer just started printing a random document. Now, is that possible? I guess anything is possible. My guess is that you tried to print it at another time. It ended up in the cache, like lined up to print, but for some reason it didn't print due to some tech glitch somewhere. And then yesterday when it printed, maybe it just somehow it got past the queue or the cache, and it started printing on its own. I mean, I really don't feel that it was anything like cosmic or quantum physics or something that just helped started this thing printing on its own. I don't think that happened. I think it was more. My guess it's more of a tech glitch. But yeah, I will tell you, weird things definitely happen, and sometimes they happen, and I can't explain them. I mean, I've been laying in bed sometimes, and like lights would start to flicker. Weird things would happen in the next room, sounds, noises. So I don't know. Sometimes we just don't have explanations. And sometimes I think things, whether they're like a little bit supernatural or whatever, they do happen. And sometimes we just can't explain them. Good question there. I really enjoyed that one. Wow. Um, Next question. Let's see. From Deep Thinker 27. Can microdosing help me understand quantum physics or just make me think I do? That's quantum physics is yeah, difficult to understand. I know what it is, but I can't say that I understand it very well. So I don't have an answer for you. The answer I'm going to give you is do a search, especially if you're dosing, if you're doing a microdose or higher. Do a search, a Google search or some type of search, AI search or whatever. YouTube search will be good actually. Type in Schrodinger's cat. I don't have the spelling in front of me. Schrodinger is spelled a little bit of a weird way. Um, Type in Schrodinger's cat. It's Schrodingers, Schrodinger's cat. And look it up and see if you can understand that. I would say that's a fairly simple quantum physics experiment that Schrodinger, I think he never really did it, but he proposed it. It's like kind of like a, what if this happened? Here, what if this happened? Here's what I think is going on. Something like that. It's a, it's, it's not very difficult to understand, but it might take you a little while to get the concept because at first you might just look at it as, oh, this is just a stupid experiment with a cat. Well, I'm not going to give it away. See if you understand it. I think it's probably best to look it up on YouTube and watch a couple of videos that explain Schrodinger's cat in a simple way and see if you understand it. And if you do understand it, you're on your way to understanding at least the very beginning level of quantum physics. What a great question that is. Wow. And I think I think that's all the questions I had for today. I really hope this was an interesting episode. As I said, a while back, I started accumulating these questions that came in that I just felt wouldn't really fit anywhere else. But in the back of my mind, I had this idea that I'm going to do an episode on all these like off the wall type questions. And because even though they might sound strange, there is some truth and there is something to these questions. Like, should I microdose and go get my driver's license picture taken because, well, I look better? I think yes. I mean, I honestly think there's something to that. So thanks to the questions. I really am appreciative for everybody. God, I started this podcast 4.5 years ago. It's really, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've got a lot of good followers here. I love you all. And I just was notified on the YouTube side of it that we just crossed over the 1 million. Yes, you heard that right. 1 million total views on my channel from the inception. Now, you might look at my YouTube channel because lately I put a YouTube video out and, I don't get that. It's not like I've got a viral following. It's not like I've got a ton of views. However, some of the older videos, some of the older episodes I put out, they get a lot and they just keep coming back. For some reason, YouTube doesn't retire them. They get a lot of views. And I think some of the newer ones I'm doing now, even though they might not get a lot at the beginning, a year or two down the road, they start to really pick up steam and the algorithm picks it up and tens of thousands of people start viewing them. So, and then on the audio side, there's Spotify and there's Apple, and we get a lot of people listening there. I think what is it? Listen Notes is an app. Listen Notes ranks podcasts all over the world. And Listen Notes actually has my podcast, Microdose U, the audio part of it. They say I'm in the top 1% of podcasts all over the world. So I'll take that. I really appreciate that. When I first started the podcast here, I said to you and I said to myself, if I just help one person, live a better life, then my job's done, then I'm really happy. Well, I'm happy to say that I've helped a lot more than one person all over this planet. People that are just hurting, they're depressed, they've got anxiety, they've gone through the regular ways, talk therapy, antidepressants, things like that, meditation. I'm not down on any of those things, but a lot of times, more often than not, they really don't work, and that's why sometimes we have to help ourselves with microdosing psychedelics for mental health issues. And I can tell you for sure, these really, really do work. I'm a totally different person than I was 4 years ago. I was with a friend um, a very short time ago, and she told me that I'm like much different in a good way, in a positive way than I was last time she saw me, which was maybe like even a year earlier. So I'll take that as a big, big win. I feel great. Um, and I think it's only going to just keep getting better and better. So I really appreciate you being here. Again, remember, check out the show notes, check out the website, microdoseu.com. And as I said, I think I've said it already, but at the end of every episode, I really mean this. I do love you. And we have a brand new episode that comes out every Wednesday. And I hope I see you on the next episode. And also remember Patreon, and remember to go back into previous episodes, either here on YouTube or here on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching. Check them out. Got a lot of really good information. And if that's not good enough for you, I do offer one-on-one coaching programs, anywhere from like 1 hour to a full 10-week one-on-one private personalized coaching program, which will help you get to where you want to be. Until next time, I am Dr. Dave. This is Microdose U.